What's up, Cowboys Nation? This is my recap of this preseason game we just had against the Baltimore Ravens. Again, it wasn't a pretty game at all. Some standout players, but for the most part, this was just not inspiring football at all. When the final score says it all, we just expect a little bit more now from our team. I just wanted to see more in week 2. Week 1, I gave us a pass. It's the first game, but week 2, 31-13. Cooper Rush was just moving the ball over us. He had some mistakes, and I was happy with the turnovers. Right, turnovers are important. At least if you're going to be a defense that bends or sometimes breaks, you want turnovers, right? You can counter the yards given up with turnovers. So we had 2 interceptions. That was impressive. But our offense, man, I think we had about 5 yards, in the first half, and I might be exaggerating. I don't remember the exact number, but it wasn't good. It was pretty bad. They completely shut us out. Joe Milton just does not look like he can actually run an NFL offense yet. I know he has the physical tools, and that's great. And, you could throw it a mile, right? I remember that. What was that line? And remember the Titans with Denzel? Said you could throw it a mile, but you can't pitch it 5 yards, right? So he can't throw it 10 yards to get a first down. He might be able to throw it 95 yards, but this is the NFL. It's not a video game. You can't just throw bombs all day and expect to be successful. So I understand them not playing Will Grier, who he didn't look good either. 1 for 5, 33 yards though. And he got sacked twice, and Milton was sacked twice also. So the line didn't look as great this week. Now this is the Baltimore Ravens, and they are stacked. And when I say stacked, I don't mean by just starters. Their backups are good. They've built a really good team, and hopefully the Cowboys can get to that same place, because our backups did not look anywhere near as good as theirs did. Some couple standouts. Isaiah Childress, I believe that's his name. Let me bring up my numbers here. Zion Childress, my bad. Zion Childress. He was a standout, right? He looked good. He made flash plays. He's always just getting in there, making tackles. He only had 2 tackles, but if you watch the game, he didn't play much, and when he did play, he made an impact. So I was really impressed with that. I was also impressed with my man Winfrey Perrion again, or Perrion Winfrey. Sorry. Again, he had another good game. Getting through the line, he's like 1 or 2 steps away, every time I'm getting a sack when he gets penetration. And he's the only guy, I would say, besides Zion Childress, that I've been truly, truly impressed with in both preseason games. Booth, and he made the interception. Andrew Booth, what I like about him is that he seems to always be in position, even if he doesn't always make the play. But last week, they caught a good pass on him, but he was right there. He was all over the guy. But the pass was caught. So he's always finding ways to get in position, and that's what I appreciate about him. As long as you're in position, look, a better throw and a better catch, you can't always defend, but he's always in position, and he was in position today. He had an interception. He ended the pass breakup, but he's been impressive. Donovan Ezeraku just seemed like he didn't have the motor this week, and I don't know why. He might just already be like, look, I already know my spot is secure, but I just want to see a little bit more aggression. I just don't see that high-end motor. I didn't see him shedding blocks like last week, and it could just be the Ravens are a better team. But I just, I wanted to see a little bit more, hopefully this week from him than what I saw. Miles Sanders had some pretty decent runs, but I'm not a Miles Sanders fan. You know, he had a bad bobble on a toss play early in the game, which led to massive loss of yards, and then we had a safety, so the game just started off bad. And, you know, that's been the Cowboys' MO for a while. It's just starting off slow, right? It's like it just takes them a while to realize, hey, we're playing a game, and that's what's been the MO for a couple of years now. And I just want them to come out aggressive, firing, just with energy, and I just haven't seen that in any of these preseason games. Phil Moffitt didn't get much work, but I think that was done intentionally. I think they already know what they have with him, so there's no reason to overwork him. Because the reality is, we also want to see what Jadon Blue, and he's still hurt. So, you know, there's no reason to use up Moffitt at this time. So I get that. You know, let's see what Miles Sanders has to do, because there's a chance that Miles Sanders or Deuce Vaughn, one of them, don't make this team, right? Because if, you know, Jadon Blue's going to make the team, you know, even with the injury. And Moffitt's shown he's a solid back, and we already know what Javonte is. So, you know, we just brought in Malik Davis, who has some experience, and he's always looked good for us. So I think there's a solid chance that Miles Sanders or Deuce Vaughn doesn't make the team. And it might be Miles, because remember, Deuce's dad does have, you know, does work for the organization. So he might have the inside track. But all in all, just a bad game. And it's just, I know it's the preseason, but you want something to hang your hat on, to be like, okay, at least we have this. Even from a wide receiver standpoint, we didn't get to see a lot from our wideouts because Milton can't complete the ball, right? So Mingo had one really good catch, it was for 49 yards, and he had another near, you know, touchdown, but, you know, defender made a good play on it. But I think Mingo's look good. You know, he's a big body guy. I think he could fit perfectly with, you know, Pickens, CD, and Turpin, right? And then you bring in Mingo, and I think you just have something with those four guys. I'm just not sold on Tolbert or Brooks at this point, Jalen Brooks, and I do like Flournoy. I think Flournoy has a better shot of making this team, in my opinion, than Jalen Brooks. Tolbert will probably make the team based on what he did last year, but I don't know how much playing time he's going to get during the year. If Mingo shows up and Turpin does Turpin things, right? You know, they're going to have packages, they're going to have design plays, design runs, you know, anything just to get the ball in Turpin's hand, they're going to do it. But you know, saw Mozzie Smith again getting pushed off the line, right? Just to go back to the defensive side of the ball, he was just getting pushed back, and it's like, come on, Mozzie, you just got to get aggressive. You either got to hold your ground or you got to get penetration. And like, I seen Perrion get pushed back, but I've seen him get penetration. So it's like, I understand if sometimes they're going to blow you off the ball, they're going to send a double team. You're not going to expect that, you know, to be, you know, it's an inside block, and you're the play calls for you to dip on the inside. So now they, you know, you kind of gave them the leverage to push you inside more, or, you know, or a kick out block. So I understand, like, you're going to get pushed off the ball, but at least get penetration. And if you Mozzie, I feel like you either got to, you know, you got to hold your ground better, or you got to get penetration. And I'm just not seeing that. And it's looking like he might be a bust for us, unfortunately. But you know, maybe he'll catch on with another team, or maybe he figures it out at some point before the season ends, right? He just figures this whole thing out. I'm hoping, but I'm not hopeful, right, that's going to happen. Yeah, the Ravens just look really good, and we don't. And I had high hopes. I thought we could be a sleeper. You know, the NFC East is going to be a better division than I think most people believe. But that's because I think the Giants aren't going to be a doormat. And we already know what Washington and Philly can be. So I thought Dallas could be that dark horse sleeper where this division pushes a lot of teams. We might even be able to sneak into the wild card, but now I'm looking like the over-under on wins this year is kind of accurate. And I know we haven't seen the starters play yet, which can change everything, right? But what my concern is, our starters cannot get hurt, because if anyone gets hurt, we're in trouble, right? Because the backups just don't look solid enough. I think guys like Perrion and Donovan Izaraku, they're going to be rotational pieces no matter what. They're always going to play. Elam's going to be the starting corner, right? Until we get some guys back. And I think Childress is going to work out of the nickel position, you know. So these are guys that's already kind of solidified rotational players. So it's when you get injuries, right? And now the rotational guy becomes a starter, and then you got to slide somebody into that rotational spot. And I'm just not seeing a lot. And Will Greer is definitely going to be the backup, and you know that can't get hurt this year, please. That, you know, and I know no team can really win with their backup quarterback, but Joe Milton just doesn't look competent yet. And I keep saying yet because I know there's potential. I know he doesn't have a lot of reps, and that's what the Cowboys are trying to give him. But man, we just got to see a little bit more, right? Because this just wasn't an inspiring game. And that's what I look for in a preseason: inspiration. And, you know, who's that young standout star who's just inspiring your team? Remember when we drafted Dak? We saw him in the preseason. You're like, oh, we got something here. You know, and Zeke and stuff like that. Like, you know what you have. You're looking forward to that season. You was sitting there saying, you know, Romo get hurt, bro. It ain't the worst case, because that Dak kid looked like he could sling it. I haven't seen that this year. I was hoping Izaraku would flash a little bit more. I have seen it from Perrion Winfrey, and Zion Childress, but I still want to see a little bit more, you know, splash plays. I just want to see guys flash on the screen like, man, this guy's hungry. And I just want to see one motivated game, right? One high intense, all out effort game in the preseason. And I know it's just a preseason, but guys are trying to make the team. So where's that effort at? You know, where's that hunger that I want to make this team? I'm not seeing it from enough of these young guys, right? I think they're just already happy just to have the star in their helmet. And, you know, that might be the culture that the Cowboys have cultivated over the years. But I want this team to bring back the 90s. And I feel like we have the starters to do it, but you need those rotational guys and those backups also, right? You need to be able to say, hey, take a couple snaps off, and it's not a huge drop-off. Or we could rest some guys, and it's not going to be a huge drop-off. Or we might lose some guys, and it won't be a huge drop-off. Right now, it's looking like we lose anybody, and it's not going to be good for us. Tell me what you guys think of how this game went. Leave your comments below. Who was a standout player to you? And really, let me have a real discussion about Mozzie Smith, right? Is he a bust or not, right? So leave your comments below. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to hear more, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's do it. We them boys.